Hey up, I'm Guy Kester, the Tester Man, and this is my waiting for the second set of uplift buses tech talk around on the Merida 12600 at the marvellous X-Enduro. So, like I say, first wave of riders has gone off on the final day, so I'm just going to grab the camera and run you through the details on this bike super quick before I have to stick it in a van and get out on the hills around Minehead and Exmoor. But yeah, there's going to be an event video. There is a full live ride review test on this bike as well. So make sure you watch that to get an impression of how it actually rides on the trail, live from the incredible stages of this 3-day event. But without further ado, as Chris from Downtime Podcast would say, let's talk about that triple-butted, smooth-welded Merida, a light alloy frame set. Let's talk about that really neat little linkage there, driving that RockShox Deluxe Select shock, giving you 130mm of travel from that 45mm stroke. Took me a while to knock that off in the end, but, you know, as the stages got steeper, as the hits got bigger, we got there. So it is pretty progressive. And then, P-Flex. The fact that this bike, even though it's a trail bike, I mean, common on cross-country bikes, common on carbon bikes, quite rare to get an alloy flexi rear on this bike. But Merida run it not just on this 130mm travel bike, they also run it on their 140 and 160mm platforms. So it's essentially a single pivot suspension system with flex in the rear stay, giving you 130mm of travel, and then that's matched up front by this Mazzocchi Bomber Z2 fork. Pretty simple fork. It's basically a slightly M'd up. You've got the M brace there, sort of sculpted into the fork there, if we move the crud catcher. But basically, it's a Rhythm 34, slightly simplified. So you've got steel bushings rather than synthetic bushings, which needs a little bit of looking at care over long term. And you've got plastic adjusters there on this rail. Damper. I mean, it gives you full compression damping from, you know, fully open to locked out, but not quite as smooth and flowy as the Rhythm. You know, in sort of basic impact arithmetic terms, a Rhythm will kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas this will go kind of like 1, 2, 3, F you! So really a hardtail fork. I think if you want to really push this bike and get the best out of it, a better quality fork would certainly not go amiss, and maybe even bring it up to 140mm, because currently 66-degree head angle, you know, which is okay, but it's more, that's kind of more of an XC angle now than a trail angle. So 65 I think would suit it better, especially as you've got 40mm BB drop. So, you know, it's already a relatively low slung bike, and then that effective seat angle, that's crazy steep. 78.5 degrees, so even if you tip it back to 77.5, that gives you a very aggressive position for climbing there. And to cover off the rest of the geometry, it's a 485mm reach on this long size, because Merida use what they call agilometer sizing. So rather than it being small, extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, it's small, it's extra short, short, mid, long, extra long. And basically that basically works out as relatively short seat tubes for the length of the bike. So, like I say, this is 485 with a 445mm seat tube. If you drop down to a medium, it's 465 with a 425. I'm right, to be fair, because you've got a really long seat post on there as standard, I'm right on the nub in terms of getting the right height in there at my 745mm pedaling height, so it's probably nearer 750, so bear that in mind when you're sizing. But you know, basically this is quite a long quite a long stable bike in the midsection, but you've got a relatively tight, you know, upright head angle. Very short as well, 110mm on this, so there's a few spaces on the stem, but then with the flat bar, it's actually quite heads down. I mean, to be fair, it's a really good position to climb in. I mean, the whole bike weighs 15.6 kilos, which again, relatively light for this weight for this price category. Retails at $2,500. Actually, sells in the shops for about $19.99 from the big retailers at the moment. So, you know, it's in that hyper competitive 2K price category at the moment. And although, like I say, 130 mil of travel, just to go back to the pedalling on this, it is surprisingly smooth and flowy. Really, I mean, you'll see the live road review. First descent I do on this bike, I'm like, crikey. This is because you expect a bit of resistance from a sprung stay out the back, but no, this seems to actually draw the bike down into its travel. It's really keen to get in there, provide really rich, smooth traction and easy pedal over, but that does mean if you're cranking out the saddle, it's going to bob and lump around a bit. So on the climbs, I've been using that lockout lever on there quite a lot if you really want to get the torque down without it bobbing too much. But sit and pedal, because you've got the forward position, it puts your weight more forward on the bike. It actually pedals pretty efficiently just for tapping out that low gear climbing, of which we've been doing a lot here in Exmoor. In terms of gearing, you've got Dior, full set of Dior 12-speed, with the only thing that's non-Shimano on there is the KMC chain. That means the shifting isn't as great as it could be, but durability is really, really good on these KMC chains, and you've got a steel chain ring up front there on the Dior, so you're going to get a lot of mileage through this system before you even need to think of replacing anything. And it's a standard thread-in bottom bracket down there as well, and again, that's Shimano. They haven't sneaked a cheapy one in there, so that's good to see. And also the Mazzocchi Z2 up front, that's designed for maximum length of running between service intervals, so it's a full, although like I say, it has got those steel bushings in there, which over the long term might you need to have a bit of care on. As it stands, you know, that fork's going to run for longer, sweeter than most other forks, certainly at this price point. And the frame, while most frames are running about 120k maximum rider limit, this aluminium frame, even on this short travel bike, 135k weight limit. So again, with those really long reach options as well, this is a bike that will definitely suit a larger rider, although you're gonna want to put, whoop, hello, it's getting windy, that's good, that means the storm's coming in. You are going to want to crack quite a lot of pressure into there, because like I say, she's a smooth one, not necessarily a stable and efficient one once you start cranking the power out. What else do you need to know? Let's have a talk about more of the details on the frame. It's all internal cable routing, separate sleeves to keep things quiet, put the clamps at the bottom there, so you've got foam sleeves inside, so it's just, you know, again, really quiet bike, which always makes it feel smooth and quite succulent on the trail. You've got bottle cage mount here, you've got triple bolts here, so I mean, you could put a cargo cage on there if you want to bike pack, or you could just put, you know, a hard bottle cage higher up on there to make room for that lower bottle, or just sit it down lower if you're running one bottle. You've got an accessory mount up there under the top tube. You've got mounts here on the rear stay bridge for Merida's really long fender that they do. You could say that's a bit of an eyesore, but it'll stop your ass getting sore. So, you know, it's an aesthetic to comfort trade-off on that. And then, yeah, we're talking about another aesthetic to easy maintenance trade-off. It's internal headset cable routing. And, you know, there's a lot going on up there. Not only does it force the cables up high, but it also means if you need to work on the headset bearings or replace them, you've got to pull all those control lines out, which if you're a home mechanic, you're going to need to set aside quite a lot of time and swear jar for doing that. And if you're taking it to a shop mechanic, then yeah, good luck. Good luck with them smiling at you when you go back to pick it up. But, you know, it's a feature that a lot of firms are using across. I mean, it's not even an issue when you talk about road bikes, gravel bikes. Well, no, gravel bikes it is. Road bikes, people don't seem to mind, but it's definitely frowned upon for fairly practical reasons by a lot of mountain bikers. So, got to bear that in mind. It's the kind of the one fly in the ointment of an otherwise very, very durable, deliberately kind of easy to live with package. And yeah, what haven't we talked about? Well, we're looking at the bars, Dior brakes. It's a 4-pot front with a 200mm rotor, so plenty of grunt when it comes to fighting the effects of gravity up front. And then 2-pot on a 180. That was getting a little bit overworked. You can pull that pretty hard without having a dramatic effect on slowing the bike down.
So, you know, again, maybe you consider going to a 4-pot or a bigger rotor on the rear. But again, you got to remember, you know, this is quite a head down, aggressive seat angle, easy pedaling bike. It's an all-rounder, and it's always hard when you're doing sort of, you know, enduro-based events like this. It's tempting to go, oh, well, I want a more fork, and I want more tyre, and I want slacker, and it's actually, no, this isn't what this bike is for. There is a 140, there is a 160, which are the dedicated gravity bikes. So you've got to bear in mind there will always be a compromise in that vector between up, down, and along. And as it sits, this bike is equipped really well for along. And that relates to, you know, the Forecaster tyres as well. Forecaster dual control. It's an exo carcass. They're not the grippiest because it's quite a sharp plasticky compound, but, you know, they've done okay. You know, they grip equally as well as something like, you know, the new Contis I've been testing. It's a great tread pattern. It clears easy, and they roll really bloody quick for the amount of grip you get. So it's been a real bonus on the climbs. They are pretty narrow though. They're listed as a 2.4. They come up near a 2.25. So again, you know, I think you can squeeze a 2.4 in the back of here. So, and you know, the new bikes, this is a 24 bike, 25 bikes come with a dissector up front for a bit more grip, and they're also an army green rather than this grey here. But yeah, I mean, this is the one you'll get for the keener price, so that's why I'm reviewing it here. And then you got a bit of rubber protection all the way down the belly there. You've got this moulded chainstay protector as well, just again helps keep things quiet. And also, oh yeah, that's one thing I hadn't talked about. That's quite neat there, the way that rear brake's mounted on, sort of to keep the braking forces away from the seat stay, to keep it all active. That's pretty neat. And then finally, it's kind of hard to see in there, there is a single mount there which you then bolt a ISCG chain guide mount onto there if you want. I did say on the live ride review that there was a little mudguard that fitted in there to keep that area behind the main pivot clean. I was telling porcupines there isn't. It's, you know, the mud just drops through there, but, you know, jet washes out nice and easily. It's not a filth trap, so that's good. And people I've known who've had these long term had zero complaints about the bearings and the suspension and everything like that, so that's all good. Right, I think that's covered most things off, and the uplift fans aren't back, so that's a definite win, really, because it means I can hand this bike back after the event to these guys before it absolutely rinses it down. So, like I say, there's a live ride review of this bike from the X Enduro. There's a hell of a lot of footage. I don't know how long it's going to be once I've edited it down. I might have to do 2 edits where there's like an essentials mix and then some long rambling kind of prog rock album of a meander through the traits and characteristics of this bike while I try and stay on it down some seriously slippery stages. But massive thanks for watching this. Massive thanks to Mikey and the crew at the X Enduro. First time at this event. What an amazing event. Really small field. Incredibly well catered for, fully all-inclusive, so all your food, all your beer, everything is, as soon as you come through that gate over there, you are the guests of the Merida Shimano X Enduro, and they will treat you exceptionally well. And it's just got such a great vibe. There's so many people who've come back here year on year on year. There's Mike and Tracy who organise it. Say hi! Say hi, Mike and Tracy!
Vominator, here we come!
Mint, yeah, the Vominator. Looking forward to that stage today. Sounds like it's a bit of me, but yeah. So like, subscribe, click for notifications, give us a thumbs up because YouTube likes to see those thumbs. I think it's some kind of internet hitchhiker, really. And if you really want to support the channel, consider sponsoring me on Patreon or by giving me a small gift in the YouTube, because you can do that with a button somewhere on this page now. But for now, I've been Guy Kestevan on Guy Kes TV, getting ready to get wild and wet on the Merida 120 600. A hell of a lot of bike for not much money, and in a world of really cookie cutter frames, the geometry and the features on this really make it stand out, especially after something durable, affordable, and surprisingly capable and smooth for what looks like a relatively sort of XC-based bike on paper. That chap over there just looked at me, and he looked at me, and I could see it in his eyes. He's like, he never mentioned chainstay length.
435 millimeters across all sizes. It's not proportion specific, so you know it feels pretty short on this long bike. It'll feel more balanced on the medium and smaller bikes, but again, short. Actually, thinking about it, I think I have talked about it, but sod it, just in case I haven't. Yeah, quite a short back end with quite a steep head angle, so stable in the middle, agile both ends.
Takes a bit of working out on the trail at first, but we definitely got there in the end. Kind of like this video. Cheers, mate.